I supported my boyfriend for 5 years, gave him a home, insurance, and loyalty, while he cheated with multiple women, including one half his age, gaslit me into thinking I was crazy, and let his mother help cover it all until strangers finally told me the truth. Backstory: my now ex, 52 male, and I, 40 female, were together for 5 years, and looking back, those 5 years feel like a slow erosion of my sense of self. When we first got together, he and his teenage son moved into my house. I thought that meant partnership. I thought that meant building something together. What it actually meant was that I carried everything. He refused to contribute financially to household expenses, flat out saying, I shouldn't have to pay for something or put work into anything that isn't mine. At the time, I somehow rationalized that statement away. I told myself he was struggling, that he'd get back on his feet, that love meant patience. Eventually, he and his son moved out of my house and into his mother's basement. Nothing changed there either. He paid nothing. He did no housework. She cooked for him, cleaned for him, and enabled him completely. Her justification was always the same. If I don't, I'll lose my son. What she didn't seem to realize was that she was helping him lose everyone else. During this time, his relationship with his son completely collapsed. His son graduated high school and told him he was done until his dad could apologize for talking badly about his mother. That apology never came. His son walked away and I stayed. I stayed even as I watched my partner lose his child through his own pride and refusal to take accountability. I told myself I was being supportive. In reality, I was ignoring massive red flags. Despite all of this, we continued to talk about marriage. We went ring shopping. We talked about buying a house together. By then, he was also on my health insurance. He stayed on my insurance for 4 years and never once contributed a single dollar toward it. At the time, I told myself that was temporary too. It never was. We even started a business together. I kept my full-time job because it provided stability and excellent benefits. I carried the safety net while he chased ideas and avoided responsibility. In hindsight, I can see how deeply imbalanced that dynamic was, but when you're trauma-bonded, imbalance feels normal. For years, one of our biggest recurring fights was his behavior on social media. He constantly added random women. He kept messages secret. He used Snapchat's quick add feature. He met women on TikTok Live. Every time I raised concerns, he told me I was overreacting. His go-to line was, I'm just being social. That's what you're supposed to do on social media. The manipulation ran much deeper than just apps and messages. There was financial abuse, emotional abuse, gaslighting. When I caught him in inappropriate conversations, more than once, he didn't take responsibility. Instead, he brought in his mom and his brother to tell me I was psychotic, insecure, and crazy for assuming things. I began to question my own reality. I started apologizing for reacting to behavior that anyone would find inappropriate. On top of that, he had a significant porn addiction. Not occasional use. We're talking at least an hour a day, every day. It affected intimacy, trust, and how he viewed women. For a long time, I blamed myself for our disconnect, not realizing how deeply his addiction played a role. At some point, he did make surface-level changes. He removed women from his social media. He stopped using Tren and Winstrol steroids. For the first time in a long while, I thought maybe the abuse had stopped. I thought maybe I was finally getting the good guy everyone else seemed to see. I let myself hope again. That hope is what nearly broke me. Because what I eventually discovered was that things weren't better. They were worse. The deception ran deeper than I imagined. The lies were more layered, the entitlement more entrenched, and the person I had been bending myself into for years was unrecognizable. My friends had been begging me to leave for a long time. They saw what I couldn't or wouldn't see. I tried to leave multiple times. Every time, he pulled me back in with apologies, promises, tears, and just enough change to keep me hooked. I now understand that for what it was, a trauma bond. That brings us to present day, and this is where everything finally broke in a way I cannot repair, excuse, or rationalize anymore. By this point, I had already emotionally pulled back. I had explained to him more than once that I could not continue pouring myself into someone who treated me like an option, who was never wrong, and who could not engage in an adult conversation about issues without resorting to name-calling, manipulation, or cruelty. I wasn't asking for grand gestures or perfection. I was asking for honesty, accountability, and the basic respect you expect from someone who claims to love you. I was asking for the bare minimum, and even that seemed to enrage him. This past weekend, the truth came to me anyway, Not from him, but from strangers who had nothing to gain by telling me. I received messages from 2 different women on Facebook. The first woman told me she was talking about him to a friend, and that friend casually mentioned that he had a serious girlfriend of 5 years. That girlfriend was me. She reached out because something didn't sit right with her, and she wanted to make sure I knew. The second message was devastating in a way I can't fully put into words. She told me she met him at our gym and had been in a full-on relationship with him from August of 2024 through June of 2025. Not a fling. Not a mistake. A relationship. She described hotels, fancy dinners, emotional intimacy, frequent sex, and daily communication. She met his mother. She met his dogs. She even met my dog while he was dog-sitting during a weekend I was out of town at my son's sports tournament. There were explicit photos exchanged, constant messages, declarations of affection, and future talk. He told her he wanted a relationship with her. She hesitated because of the age difference. She's 32, but he continued pursuing her anyway. She also told me she knows a 22-year-old woman from the same gym that he had started seeing during the same period. He slept with her too. That woman didn't want a relationship and didn't feel concerned enough to warn me. What destroyed me wasn't just the cheating. It was the depth of the deception. He and his mother both told this woman she was the only one he was seeing, that he loved her. At the same time, his mother was telling me, repeatedly, that I was paranoid, insecure, imagining things, and that I was the only woman in his life. That he loved me so much, and I was lucky. That level of manipulation is something I'm still trying to wrap my head around. In that moment, something inside me finally clicked. Not with anger, but with clarity. I removed him from all social media. I blocked his personal number. I muted his business number. I removed him from my insurance immediately. I didn't scream. I didn't confront him right away. I didn't beg for answers. I was simply done. For the first time in 5 years, I chose finality. 2 days later, he called. He told me he didn't understand what was happening. He said my son and I were everything to him. He said I could have anything I wanted from him, so why was it never enough for me? That sentence alone said everything, because what I wanted was never money, control, or power. What I wanted was honesty. I wanted the truth. When I confronted him with what I knew, he denied everything. Every single detail. He called me psychotic. Said I was on crack. Said I was crazy. Said he didn't need this kind of negativity in his life. His mother jumped in immediately, screaming at me, telling me it was my fault, that I wasn't good enough for her son, that I drove him to behave this way. Then something terrifying happened. He suddenly got a strange look on his face. This man, who is usually sharp and articulate, could not form sentences. He couldn't smile. He couldn't move the right side of his body properly. His speech slurred. His eyes looked wrong. His mother panicked. She begged me for help. Historically, I am the only person who has ever been able to get him to see a doctor. Despite everything, I didn't hesitate. I made him get into the car and drove him to the University of Michigan Hospital, remembering how incredible they were when my grandmother had her stroke. He should have gone to the VA. His care would have been fully covered due to his time in service. But he has refused for over 30 years. He will not do anything that requires a DD-214. I now strongly suspect it's because of a dishonorable discharge. My best friend spent more than 20 years in another branch and served honorably. His wife believes the same thing I do, that he has been lying to everyone for decades, presenting himself as something he is not, pretending to be super crayon eater man. I sat there in the hospital, holding together a man who had spent 5 years dismantling me, and realized something chilling. Even in the moment where he was most vulnerable, I was still the one cleaning up the wreckage he left behind. The hospital staff didn't even bother with standard ER intake. There was no waiting room, no clipboard, no vitals taken in front of me. The moment we arrived, they rushed him straight back. That alone should have told me how serious it was. Within minutes, a CT scan confirmed it. He had suffered a massive stroke. And somehow, even in that moment, even with doctors moving fast around him, he still found a way to make it about blaming me. Lying in a hospital bed after nearly dying, he told the doctor it was my fault, that I caused his stroke by raising his blood pressure. Hearing that felt surreal, like I had stepped outside my body. After 5 years of manipulation, lies, and emotional abuse, I was still being cast as the villain, even now. Then he looked at me and gave instructions. He told me not to tell anyone, especially not his son, who he refers to as dead to him. He told the medical staff that he wanted me listed as his emergency contact, that he wanted me to be his medical liaison, that he wanted me to be his power of attorney. I don't trust anyone but her, he said. I nodded. I stayed calm. I didn't argue. I didn't react. I waited. I waited until they took him back for an MRI, so there was no chance he could follow me or stop me. Then I turned to the nurse and told her, very clearly and very quietly, that I would not be accepting responsibility for any of that. Not medical decisions. Not paperwork. Not long-term care. Not him. And then I walked out. I didn't explain myself. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't look back. I walked out of that hospital with my heart pounding and my hands shaking, but with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. As soon as I got to the parking lot, I did the exact opposite of what he had demanded. I called his brother. I called his best friend. And I called his son. I told them he had suffered a massive stroke. I told them where he was. I told them how serious it was. I told them he would need an emergency contact, someone to make medical decisions, and eventually a ride home. I made sure they knew that this was not minor, not exaggerated, and not something that could wait. Then I sent proof. Screenshots. Messages. Dates. Receipts. Conversations. Evidence that could not be explained away or minimized. I sent everything to his mother, his brother, and his best friend. That's when his mother called me. She was frantic, crying, begging me not to leave, telling me I was the only one who could help him, that he loved me so much, that he needed me, that he wouldn't survive without me stepping in. And then, finally, the truth came out. She admitted she knew about at least 5 other women. She admitted she had been lying to all of us, telling each woman that she was the only one. She admitted that she had convinced me I was insecure, jealous, unstable, on purpose. She admitted she knew about his porn addiction. She admitted she had VHS tapes of explicit videos he had made, and yes, she admitted she had watched them. She told me she had been doing this for him for 30 years. Because he has a problem, she said. And I can't lose my son. That was the moment something in me broke completely, but also snapped into focus. I told her she was every bit as much a monster as her son. I told her that enabling abuse for decades doesn't make someone a loving mother. It makes them complicit. Then I hung up. And I blocked her. I blocked him. I blocked his brother. I blocked everyone, except his best friend. Then even more came out. It turns out he had been using his best friend's name and his best friend's wife's name to lure women online in another state. He told them he met them while spending time with that family, using their reputation to make himself look safe, stable, and trustworthy. One of those women sent me screenshots. He swore he knew her through them. She insisted she had never met them in her life. She had never even heard of them. The lies were layered, intentional, and relentless. I sent those screenshots to his best friend's wife. She confirmed everything. She and her husband cut him off immediately, removed him from their lives, told him directly that he has serious mental health issues and that after using their names to manipulate women, they were done. No debate. No forgiveness tour. No more chances. So here's the blunt, no-nonsense recap, because at this point I need to say it out loud just to remind myself that I'm not losing my mind. A grown man lies compulsively, manipulates everyone around him, financially exploits his partner, hides multiple affairs, weaponizes his mother, gaslights me for years, and actively dismantles my sense of reality. When the truth finally comes out because other women come forward, not because I went looking, the house of cards collapses all at once. What is he left with? No girlfriend. No fiancé in waiting. No business partner. No access to the business equipment or materials, which I legally own until he fulfills the payment agreement we set 2 years ago, which, shocker, he never did. No affair partners. No best friend. No best friend's wife. No credibility. And yes, on top of all that, he's left with a 4-day hospital bill that includes emergency admission, multiple medications, CT scans, and MRI, and the kind of care that happens when doctors skip triage and rush you straight back because your life is actually on the line. Oh, and his mother is mad at him.
But she's also mad at me.
Because apparently this is still my fault. According to his family, I caused all of this. His brother had the audacity to tell me that discovering the affairs was my fault because I went looking for bad and found it. As if truth magically becomes invalid once you stop accepting lies. He also claimed that because I could only prove for sure that he slept with one of the 5 women, the rest somehow don't count. As if emotional affairs, Deception, hotel stays, introductions to family, explicit photos, and months-long double lives are just harmless misunderstandings unless a notarized sex tape is produced. That level of mental gymnastics would be impressive if it weren't so disgusting. His son, who I now understand far better than I ever did, has everyone blocked except my son. When my son, trying to be decent and compassionate, reached out to let him know his father had suffered a massive stroke, the response was simply, "Okay, I'm busy." And somehow that tells me more about the truth of this family dynamic than anything else ever could. Now his remaining family members are calling me names: asshole, vindictive bitch, whore. They've vowed revenge, which honestly would be terrifying if it weren't coming from people who enable abuse, excuse infidelity, and blame women for men's choices as a lifestyle. I've seen who they are. I'm not afraid of them. I'm repelled by them. Meanwhile, the people who actually matter? The people who saw the truth? His best friend's wife told me I'm a saint for even driving him to the hospital, for staying 13 hours to make sure he was stabilized, for not abandoning him on the side of the road after everything I had just learned. She said most people wouldn't have done even that. And now, this is the part that matters most. I feel nothing. No pull. No guilt. No urge to respond. He has texted me 9 times today from the work line. He's called 4 times. I haven't read them. I haven't listened to the voicemails. For the first time in 5 years, I don't feel hooked, responsible, or emotionally tethered. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not heartbroken anymore. I'm done. I watched karma arrive in real time. Not with fireworks or revenge, but with consequences. Clean, immediate, undeniable consequences. And for the first time, I didn't stand in the way of them. I walked away.